Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the video number 262, and I hope that all of you are very good. And in this video today we are actually going to talk about how to create a login page using the Excel VBA, right? So this page we are going to create on the Excel, where we are going to take the inputs from the user, like username and the password, and if the password is correct, then we will allow that user to work on the different form or whatever you want to do, right? And if the user enters the wrong password, then obviously we would like to give the prompt that you have your login is actually failed. Now for those who are watching the channel for the first time, this is the video number 262, so you can watch all those amazing 261 videos on my channel, guys, right? This channel is dedicated to all those people who are doing a lot of work in Excel, or they use the Excel VBA or Access VBA. We will have almost every topic getting covered day by day. So you can see that you just need to click on the playlist. This is the playlist. You need to click here, and I have actually, to show you the more page, I have actually zoom in this to the 45% so that you can see a lot of playlists we have created here. So if you are interested in Excel VBA introduction, go there. Access macros, access queries, access forms, access collection loops, and Excel VBA collection loops. So there we have almost got every topic covered. Now because this video is going to be on the user form, so I want to tell you that if you don't have any idea about the user forms, how to create the user forms in the Excel, using the Excel VBA, then no worries, just go ahead and hit on this Excel VBA user form. You would see there 8 videos. These are all the videos. By the way, let me just increase the size. This is really very small. Yeah, so you can see here that you would get to see different the titles here, and what you need to do is just start from the scratch, the part 1 and the part 2. This is, in fact, is going to be the part number 3, because in this video also I'm really not going to do some advanced stuff. Login page can be created very easily, provided you just know that how the Vlookup function works, right? So if you don't have any idea about the Vlookup, please go ahead and click here, and you can actually get to see Excel Vlookup and match function. You will find there 14-15 videos, and I have talked about the Vlookup from the very basic level. So every topic actually has basic, intermediate and advanced level. So choice is yours. I'm leaving it to you, but I'm trying to cover everything for you guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's create the form. Now the first thing which I need to do is we are going to create the 2 text boxes. Now if you have watched my previous 2 videos, I have explained you that how the text box actually works, right? So we will definitely not going to speak on this part. I'm going to simply create the 2 text boxes and 1 command button, which user actually has to click, right? So this is the button. We will name it as maybe you can say submit button. Okay, we're gonna name that submit button. Now once it submits the thing, so in the first text box we will have the username. User will enter the name, username, and the second box, in the second text box, he or she will enter the password. And then here in another sheet, employee database, which you can also hide. I mean, you can hide it, you can make it very hidden as well, right? So I'm going to tell you that as well. Let me just write it down. That is the additional bonus for you. Very hidden. I'm not sure if you know that, right? What is the very hidden? So this is what we're exactly going to do. So whatever the password and the username they are going to enter, we are going to look up the username. We're going to look up the username and the password he enters, and we are going to match up with the employee database. Here we're going to write all the usernames. So let's quickly write here. So first you need to prepare this sheet. Now let me tell you one thing more, guys. If you're looking for the Access login page, then we have created the Access login page as well. Just go ahead and find out the video on the Access forms. You would see their Access login page video, right? And for your information, in the Access there is no Vlookup. So what we have done is, that's a surprise for you. Just go ahead and watch that video. Right now I'm just going to write here all the passwords and the username. So let's say I'm going to write here ABC, the password, and I'm going to write 123 as a password. Let's say some more names are here. So we have the Donald J, and the password, I'm just simply going to write the same password, let's say. Okay, but definitely you can change it. And then let's say we have some more names, and the password is, let's say, the same. And okay, so we're gonna write 12 is the password, and one more name, let's add it. I'm not really going to make this video so lengthy, so maybe we can add here Bhaskar, and we're going to write this as 333. Okay, now this is your employee database. We have got all the username and the IDs. Now you can keep this in another workbook as well. That's really I mean, in the VBA you can do whatever you want to do, nothing can restrict you, right? So but I'm writing it here, that's fine, and we will hide this later. First let's go ahead and create the form. Now what I need to do is I need to go ahead and I click on the insert user form. Okay, this is my user form, as you know, and we're going to use the toolbox. Click on the view and the toolbox. I have explained this, I mean, all these points, and so we are really not going to spend much of the time on that. Let me close, by the way, everything, and let's just close this PPT as well. Okay, so this is the form, and I hit back on the toolbox, which is this. I'm going to write here text box. We create the two text boxes here. I copy this and paste it here again, right? So we're gonna have the two text boxes. Let's give them the name, label. You know that how we use the label, right? Again, I have explained about these all in the part 1 and the part 2. So we're just going to keep it like this. Now in the label, I go to the property window, press F4, right? And you know what to do now. You go to the caption and you write here that enter username. Okay, and similarly you click here, and then you are going to be on the label, different label control, which is the label 2, as you can see here, right? So we're going to write here the password, enter password, or you can write simply just password. Okay, now let me tell you, if you think that I'm little fast, I'm again repeating, guys, this video is not for you. Then first go ahead and watch video number 1 and 2 and then come back, right? But still, I mean, if you just want to stick to this, no hassles, you can watch still, still watch this video. But if it is not going to make sense, I would say pause it and first watch those previous videos where I have talked about these controls in very much detail. Okay, so now what else we need? I guess we also need the command button. So we're gonna write here the command button. I click on the toolbox again. This is the command button. All right, so that's the button I'm going to create, and I hit on the F4. It takes me to the property window, as you know, and so here in the caption we are going to write the submit, click whatever you want to write, run, you know, whatever. So submit, I'm going to write submit, and the name of this command button, we're gonna name this as CMD submit. Okay, now as I said that we are going to use the VLOOKUP function. So if you know the VLOOKUP, very nice. If you don't know it, please go ahead and watch those Excel VLOOKUP videos, because in the VBA also it works the same way. And by the way, if you think that the VLOOKUP works, you know the VLOOKUP, then I mean there's no need to watch the video on the you know, the VBA function, which we have discussed in the previous little back. Actually, there is one more playlist which I have created here, which is called the Excel VBA function. When you hit on this Excel VBA function, here also I have, you know, talked about couple of these VLOOKUP challenges. For example, watch this video number 118 and you will be surprised if you think that you know the VLOOKUP very well. This is really amazing video. And then as you can see there, these are all the VBA functions. You can go through them one by one. I have talked about a lot of VBA functions here. So this is another VBA VLOOKUP function with the loops, how to use it with the loops. This is also very good video. And if you're watching, if you don't have any idea about the functions, you first start from the basics of the VBA function. Okay, so we have everything. I have everything for you. All right, now what we want to do is first of all, I'm going to create the button here. So let's go ahead and create the button. And in this button, when I click, I want to show up that form, right? So to do that, we go to the module, and in the module I'm just going to write show my form. That's the name of my sub, and you know that the name of my form is userform1.show, and this is how we write, right? Okay, so I right click on this and I click on the assign macro. There we go. I'm gonna select this, and if I hit on this, you see that this is coming. Cool, right? So now once I enter the details and I click on the submit, it should go to the employee database sheet. And by the way, this actually should not be created here. This should be created here. So let me just paste it here. Control V. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, right. So it should go to the employee database sheet, and it uses the VLOOKUP, using the lookup whatever the username we have, going to the second column, it picks up the password and it should match the password with the second text box, and if they are equal, it says that yes, you are allowed to log in. If it is not, then it says that login failed, and you can even close the workbook. Well, you can do whatever you want to do, right? All right, so actually I received this question from one of my subscribers. I think it's like 3-4 weeks back, and unfortunately I'm not able to find it out the email, otherwise I would have read that email. So it was just written that, you know, you guys want to see that how to create the login pages. So I'm not really going to work on some specific requirement. I mean, you can exit from the Excel. Once you click on that click button and the login fails, or maybe something else can also happen, because this is not written to me, this was not emailed to me. What was emailed to me, that you just need to learn the login page, right? So I'm just kind of like, you know, making my own imagination and trying to you know, tell you that this can also happen, that possibility is also there. So whatever you think, you know, you can actually program the things accordingly. The important thing is how to use the VLOOKUP in this. So I hit on this submit button, double click or right click and go to the view, as you know that. So now here what we need to do is, so I'm going to declare here a variable called u as string, okay? And now this u is going to be equals to worksheet function. This is how you write the VLOOKUP function, right? You write the VLOOKUP function because VLOOKUP is a part of this worksheet class. Now the very first thing which we need to see is that what is a lookup. Now in this it is not so clear, but if you have a look on this part of in the Excel, if you write the VLOOKUP, you see that you have a lookup value, you have a table, you have a column number, and you have a range, right? So these are the 4 parameters basically we are targeting. First is the lookup. Lookup is going to be the value which user will write in the user name text box, and the table is going to be the employee database table, which will start from A and, you know, it will go to the B column, and then the column number, which is always going to be 2, and range lookup, you know that we need the exact match, so we'll keep it as 0. So first thing, that the lookup is whatever the user will enter in that text box 1, right? So I've written here text box 1. Now I emphasized a lot in the previous videos that don't go for this by default naming convention, because it can confuse you. But since we have created only 2 text boxes, so it really doesn't matter to me, because I know that text box 1 will always refer to the username, and if you click on the text box 2, it will always refer to the text box 2. But if you have a lot of text boxes, then guys, you will be confused at which text box refers to which, you know, control, which why for which purpose you have used. So what you can do is you can quickly go to the name and you can write them maybe in the shortcut form txt, and you can write here password. Let's say I'm going to write here password, and you just click here and then you can write here txt and username, right? So any naming convention, I mean, you can give. There is no as such a rule, right? As long as you are following the VBA naming conventions, you can start with the number, you can't write any special character, or you can't use any VBA reserved word, right? Like dim, sub, there are so many things. So I'm going to write here username, that's it. Now this is going to give me a good help, right? For example, now if I go back to the submit button, and now if I just backspace it and see that me dot, you see that txt. Now this tells me that which actually the button is for which purpose. So I want to find out the username. Now the username, let's say user has entered Ajay, right? Now the Ajay is going to be look up in the sheet employee database. So what you will do, this is how you write. Argument 2 is the table, if you remember, right? So I select the employee database, which is not select, actually I write the sheet name, you can't select it, and database. In this sheet, what is my range? That is what I need to give, right? So I'm going to keep it simple, A1 to B10, because I know these are the only entries I have, right? What is the next parameter? Argument 3. Argument 3 is the column number. If you remember, the column would be 2, because I have written the column password on the column number 2, and this is going to be the 0, which is called the exact match, right? So your formula is done. This is what I'm talking about. It's gonna look up the A1 to B10. Actually, I have given the buffer, that's fine, and we are going to check out the second column. So what is it, right? So here, now let me run this first of all. You know, let me put the breakcode here, and let's go ahead and click here. So let's say I enter Ajay and I enter the password called 1 2 3 4 5, right? I click on the submit. Now you see what will happen. Now here you can see that this is the first parameter. VLOOKUP is going to use this Ajay. I'm really not going to talk much on the VLOOKUP because I have already explained in the Excel how to use it, and moreover if you want to see it how to use it in the VBA also, as I showed you all the videos on the VLOOKUP also, VBA VLOOKUP, so you can go ahead and watch that as well. But still I'm just going to hover my this mouse on all the parameters and I can show you what exactly the output they're getting. So here I'm getting the Ajay. So Ajay is going to look up in which sheet? This sheet, obviously, from the range A1 to B10 and the second column. So if I press F8 again, let's see what the U holds. So you see that the U holds nothing, but it still gives you back the Ajay, right? So why it gives you the Ajay? Because of the reason that the password actually you created for this. If I click on the employee database sheet, let me reset the code. If I take you to this employee database, you see Ajay password is actually Ajay, and that is what it was telling, right? So we want to compare this. So let me just name this as maybe 4321. We want to compare this password, which the VLOOKUP will find it out for us. So what we will do, we will simply write here if condition, and we're going to say that if U equals to the value which user has entered in the text box second, which is called the password, right? Then what does that mean? Obviously that means that you are successful. So we're going to say that you are successful. Okay, else what would you like to do? Else obviously you would say that the login failed. So I'm going to say that login failed. Okay, and finally if the login gets failed, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the file, this workbook.close. Okay, or you can write application.exit as well. So what will happen, this will completely exit from this Excel application, right? So this is what I'm going to write. I think exit was the one. Just a second. Excel.application.exit, or what was it? Close. I just don't remember it. Anyways, let's just keep it this workbook.close only for the time being, and we will see to it. I think it was application.quit. I'm not sure why I'm not able to. Yeah, that's it. Sometimes your brain works in so many directions, you just don't remember these small syntaxes. All right, anyways, so I'm going to just comment this out because we don't want to close, but we want to quit the application. So let's go ahead and start this, and before I do that, I want to save this, right? All right, now I'm going to use the ABC, and the password I'm going to give 123, let's say. All right, there we go. Then let's hit on this, and I'm going to say ABC, and the password is 123. Hit on the submit. All right, so we forgot to put the end if. I'm so sorry. So there we go. Now let's have a look. So there we go. And now what is the value in the U? It is 123. And so this 123 and this 123, you can see that they are going to give you the prompt called you are successful, and that's it, right? So if you are successful, then that means we are good. Now what happens if you enter something like this? If I enter, let's say, ABC, and I give the password called 7, which is wrong, right? So I hit on the submit, and there we go. Now ABC is going to be look up in the sheet, and finally we will have the answer called 123, which is not equals to, you can see that 123 is not equals to 7, so you will have this message login failed, and the moment I run this application quit. Would you like to save the changes? Obviously let's say save, don't save, whatever you want to do. I can say click on the don't save, and everything is closed. You see that you don't see any Excel file, right? So let me open that file again, intro, and I also want to say one thing, that you should also not be getting even the prompt that would you like to see the changes or not, that kind of a stuff. So we can work on that. But the first thing is, if the login happens to be successful, then what would you like to do? Obviously, right? Then obviously you would like to go on the another form and work there, sort of that stuff. So how to connect one form with the another form? This is what we want to do. So I am going to create here another user form, and in this user form let me create some text boxes again. Let's say this is the text box, and one more text box I want to create, and one more we create. So we have 3 text boxes, let's say here. Okay, now the idea is I will not write here anything, but I just want to give you the idea that to work on the second form, you know, the login page what you have created has to be successful. So what you will do in this case, so this is a user form 2. So first of all, you will write here user form 2 dot show. Okay, so I'm going to write here show my form 2. This is the macro name, and then you're going to write here user form 2 dot show. Okay, so copy this macro name, and if the login happens to be successful, you know what we need to do. We need to go to that form, call my show form 2, right? And at the same time, you need to unload me, right? So that this user form actually gets closed and the new form would open, because this will take you to the user my form. I'm just going to click on the break mode, right? And at the same time, what I want to do is, if the login doesn't happen, then I would like to this workbook dot, let me just remove the comment, this workbook dot save. Okay, and I'm going to use this simply, that whatever the the value is there, and I'm going to write here true. Okay, so whatever we have done on the form, it should be saved, or you can write false as well. It's all up to you. And thereafter, the application should quit. So I can write here false, because if the authentication doesn't happen, then that means you would not like to save anything, right? So this is how the macro is prepared. Now let's go ahead and let us test on this, how the things are going to happen. Okay, so guys, let me click here, and I'm going to enter here ABC, and I'm going to enter here the password. I forgot the password, by the way. Just have a look on the password. The password is 123, right? Now if there is a password called in the text form, as you can see, dollar has a password called dollar, then remember if is a case sensitive function. If user writes this in the small case, you will not have the full authentication, right? So maybe you can write here, because if actually is a case sensitive. So if login failed comes, then you can write here in the message box that login failed, please check if you have used the wrong case. Okay, passwords, or you can simply write that please check the password, as it is a case sensitive, right? You can provide this information. After all, you want to work for your audience, right? You want to provide every small information which can be of a great help, right? Okay, so let me just go ahead and save the file first of all, and there we go. Now let's go ahead on this sheet, and I'm going to click on this, and here I'm going to write ABC 1 2 3 4. I hit on the submit. Wrong argument. All right, so I think this workbook.save, this is not required. You just go ahead and block if without if. So many errors. I'm really hating myself. So you again forgot to put the end if. I don't know, maybe it was deleted. Anyways, all right, there we go. So now you have the password called 123, and let's now test this. So password is actually, guys, 1234. Let me save the file as well. Okay, now obviously the message would come, please check the password as it is case sensitive, and this is going to save the workbook, and immediately this is going to exit. All right, there we go. No prompt, nothing, right? Wonderful. So failure testing is done, though I wanted to test first the positive result, but that's fine, right? So now again, let's go ahead and let me put the break code here, and let me have a look here. The password is ABC and 123. So let's just go ahead and write this ABC, and I'm going to write here 123, right? Now username you can enter in any form. Username is not going to be case sensitive. Why? Because username is something which we are looking up using the Vlookup function, and Vlookup is not a case sensitive, right? So guys, I know two things only so far. If you know much, please give your comments on that. If you talk about the Excel functions, then there is a function called find, which is we use to find the position. That's a case sensitive. So far, that's the only function I have come across which is a case sensitivity issue. Otherwise, all the functions are there. They don't have any sensitivity, case sensitivity issue. In the VBA, there is just one if function which has this case sensitivity issue. Otherwise, you can use any other function, or you can write in whatever you want. But apart from the if, I mean, all the things are, you know, pretty good, and they don't really look at, you know, these things like whether the word you have entered, is it in the capital or is it in the small, but if function actually works like that, right? So the password is more important, because password we are actually using the if condition. This is only simply VLOOKUP is capturing this, and it's actually looking up this in the employee database sheet. So right now you can see that I have written it in the small letters. In the employee database it is written in the capital letters. So once you hit on this, you see that this is what exactly we are finding it out. ABC in the sheet employee database, range A1 to B10. We got the answer as 1, 2, 3. Now this 1, 2, 3 and this 1, 2, 3 obviously looks same. So you have a successful login. Now once you have a successful login, now see what will happen. Now in your, if you see, your form is still on. So what will happen? This will get unloaded. Now if I minimize it, you see that the form is gone. It is unloaded, and immediately it goes to the next form, which is this form, and you will have a new form. So now the user can work on this, and thereafter he can program the, or she can program the things, you know, whatever way you want to do that. So in this way, guys, you can do this kind of a stuff. Okay. Now the question comes, the important part comes, when you open this file, you will not like to give this access to the user, because he can actually see this, right? So maybe you can hide this in the program, right? What we need to do is we just go to this workbook, and here whenever this workbook gets opened, then automatically the sheet should go in the hide mode. Okay, so this is how you need to write sheet, and I'm going to write the sheet name, guys, employee database, and I'm going to write this line, visible equals to Excel very hidden. Okay, now what does that mean? This is going to hide it, completely going to hide it. You will not be able to see. For example, if I run this, see what happens. This file, you see that the sheet is gone. You can't see that sheet. Now if you think that you can simply right click and click on the unhide, unhide will not be there, guys. It's a very hidden, right? So how you can get it back? Either through the programming, you just got to make it, you know, visible, true. So let me run this again, and there we go, the file comes back. Or the another way is that, let me give you this trick also. When you go to the Visual Basic, you see the sheets here. Okay, so select any sheet which you want to hide, very hide. Let's say I select this sheet and I go to the property window of this sheet, and then here in the visible part, you see that if you make it hidden, now this is the simple hide which you can even do in the front end, and most of the audience, they, you know, are aware of this option, but nobody actually is aware of the sheet very hidden option. So if you click on the sheet very hidden option, you see that it's gone. It's completely hidden, and you really can't now find it out. Even if you right click and you see that I want to unhide it, you will not be. So you will have to come back to the VBA, and you will have to, you know, select the sheet again and go to its property, which is this sheet 10, as you can see, and you got to make it visible. So this is what exactly I'm using it here. Whenever this workbook gets opened, it should be immediately on the hidden mode, so that user should not be able to see, because we are not sure whether he will be able to or she will be able to authenticate the credentials or not, right? So once the sheet is going to be very hidden and he enters the details, so what we need to do is on this submit button here, we are going to show that sheet again, sheets. Or maybe I guess, yeah, you can actually, because it may happen that the VLOOKUP should give you the error then. So we're going to make this visible. So here you will write visible equals to true. Okay, and if the login gets failed, then what you need to do, you simply need to again use the same line, sheets, employee database, because we would like to again hide it, right? And here I'm going to write visible equals to Excel very hidden. Okay, and now you may ask me that, you know, what happens if we all know this thing, that how to make this sheet hidden or very hidden, right? So guys, yes, definitely that can be, I mean, that can happen. But then what you can do is you can create the password also in the VBA code. Right now it is not 100% you know, you're this basically protected. You can crack the Excel passwords. There are a lot of utilities, you know, available on the internet, but I think for the office premises it is going to be very safe. You can use that, right? Anyways, let's go ahead and first of all let me save this file. Now you see that I have this employee database, everything here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this file and I'm going to open this file again. The moment I open the file as a user, I don't see the file anywhere, employee database. Nobody knows that, right? If the user knows that, he goes to the Visual Basic and he selects this and I press F4 and he makes it, this visible. Of course, he can see the file. So for that, you can also do one thing. I will be telling you, you can create the password also, right? But first of all, let us test this. So I'm going to hit on this, and object doesn't support this property. All right, so what is the issue with this? All right, so I got the error. Actually, if you click on the debug, you see this says that UserForm show is working, but this line very hidden equals to true. So this line is not actually correct. So I think I was writing this line previously, so you don't need this line anyway. Just delete this entire event. Let me delete everything. Yeah, that's it. And let me save the file and close the file again, and let us open the file again. All right, I hit on this. Now you see that it comes. I write ABC 1234. Let me click on the submit. Login failed, so please check the password. So I think I haven't used the correct password. Okay, and there is no chance for the user to see the employee database. So you click back here again. Now let's have a look on actually the file. So I go to the Visual Basic. I don't remember the password, and I'm just going to select this, and I hit on the F4. I'm going to make it visible for once, and let me see what is the password. So it's ABC123. Okay, that's fine. I close it, don't save. I open the file again, and I'm going to now click back ABC, and I'm going to write here 123. I click here, submit, and there we go. You are successful, and the next page comes, and then you can work, and this works really nice, right? So if the user actually knows everything, then obviously I don't think so. This is coming now. This is visible. So maybe even in that case also, if a user authenticates the things, you still would like to hide it. So not a problem. You can further go ahead and you can always keep this option on. So just click on the submit, and here then what you need to do is just make it very hidden. So I'm going to copy the entire line, this line, and if the success login happens, then also it should keep hiding. This is how, right? And now this time what I would like to do, I would like to protect my code, guys. So here I'm going to write here, I go into the VBA project properties in the tools, and here in the protection you can give the password, check mark this and give the password. So let's say I have given the password called 1 and 1. So I close this everything. I'm going to save the file. So before you save the file, you ensure that this should also be hidden, right? So I go back to the Visual Basic, and I press F4, and I make this file very hidden. Okay, so now your VBA is also protected. I'm going to save the file. Let's close the file, open the file again, and now if I go ahead and try to see the file, I go to the Visual Basic. You see that here when I click, I will be given the password. So now nobody can even change the mode from the very hidden to the visible, right? Unless obviously he or she knows the password. So I don't know the password, let's say. So that is fine. Now the only option I have is to click here. I'm going to write here ABC, and this time I write here, let's say 111. So I click on the submit, and there we go. Unable to get this the property. And all right, so there is some problem now. Again, there is some problem, guys. What happens, Vlookup was not able to capture the things. So let's go ahead. What's wrong with this? So a lot of practice is happening, right? So we get to see that what is the issue with the form, why are you getting the VLOOKUP error. So I hit on the form, and this is the form, right? Submit, and this is what exactly we wanted actually to see. So what's wrong with this? Let us start this from the scratch. I press F4 and I make it, let's say this is very hidden, right? This is how your file looks like. Now why I got the error, let me click here and let me hit here. So ABC, and I enter, let's say 111, submit. Let me have a look here. The file comes back. Now here I'm going to use the U, and so I think this is working. All right, else, okay, because password did not, you know that the password was 123, but we entered as 111, so it is going to execute the else mode. So in the else mode, I would see that the visible equals to very hidden. So in the very hidden, I think line, this is also line the correct. So I'm going to F8. This is very hidden. All right, there we go. So this is okay. I click on the OK, and this is going to save. This is going to execute. Yeah, so I think all set. Let me try it again, guys. What was the problem? Okay, so now I'm going to hit on this ABC. I give the password, this one. I hit on the submit. Login failed. Yes, the login failed. Perfect. I again click on this. I hit here ABC. I give the password 123, which is correct. I click on the submit. You're successful. And yes, there we go, guys. All set. Right. So this is how you can prepare this entire form. Right. So you have learned, I think, today a lot of things, how to call the one form from the another form, how to use the VLOOKUP in the forms, right? And another thing very important, that how to even hide the sheets and how to also give the protection. So I click on the password 1 to see the code, and there we go. Every object is going to be visible now. Right. So we had some challenges. I know it was not really a very smooth coding, but I guess smooth coding is not going to give you really learning, right? So I created this form. I didn't practice for this before. I could have, but I thought, let's just go ahead and face the real challenges. So you see that how the things happen, how the combination starts happening, and how you need to really think hard or to program the things, right? So these are all the simple codes which we have written. The important one was the submit button. This is the one. Let me maximize the screen and you can have a look on this, right? So if you have any questions